Today's episode is brought to you by Kind Bar. Kind is deeply committed to crafting food with real, recognizable ingredients, a disruptive notion that sparked the creation of a new healthy snacking category. Kind is unapologetic in their efforts to challenge the status quo, to shift the food industry and empower their community and our listeners to make better informed choices about health. Kindness can be a transformative force for good, and that is why we are teaming up with Kind and Podgo to bring our listeners 10 or 15% off for military, teachers, students, first responders, doctors, and nurses. Go to podgo.co. That's podgo.co/kind, KIND. That's podgo.co/kind. Kind Bar, creating a kinder and healthier world, one act, one snack at a time. Welcome to this edition of Top Guy Theater. It's funny, we're all wearing the same clothes we wore for Evan. I'm TJ Stevens. I am the host of this sideshow we call a show, Top Guy Theater. Frank Bruno, Antonio Santos, Mike Kolb, and I almost said Antonio again. I'm tired, guys. Phil Jackson, Henry Evingham, Matt Levitt, Brandy Wagner, and Carl Mandick's chair.
You know Today, it's a bad thing. You know it's a bad thing if you see two of me.
I do.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I got off work last night at 7 a.m. I got home at 8. I was in bed at 8:30. I got up at 1. I'm toast.
I've slept 3 hours, dude. I am wide. Someone was up this morning. It was Antonio. I sent him at like 2:30 this morning. I'm like, I can't fucking sleep. I'm tired.
I was still awake. Well, I was at work. Of course, I was awake. But
look who joined us finally.
It's Carl.
Carl putting on his finest Mr. Rogers cardigan. So today on this episode, we have a very special guest, very special show we're watching. They will be joining us shortly. It's Mike Kolb, yes. So we will be watching, believe it or not, AEW Dark from November 17th, 2020. It's episode 62, and it's on YouTube. So go ahead and search AEW Dark episode 1117. Make sure it's the whole show, because our guest is on it. We are also starting, this is very complicated, and I apologize. We are starting at 1 hour in.
1 hour exactly, TJ?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
You should see the back of Layla Hirsch going back up the ramp.
So repeat all of that again. AEW Dark, episode 62, November 17th, 2020, on YouTube. Go straight to an hour. That's where we're starting. So it's going to be a short show today. Usually we do 4-hour marathons, but today we're just doing a little over an hour, and that's fine. It's a nice change of pace, I say.
I've got 1 hour and 1 second. Is that too far ahead?
It is. You need to do it over. Fix it now. Anyone have anything to say before we get started?
1 hour exactly.
Thank you, Antonio.
So, Mike, since you're the special guest today, why did you pick AEW Dark November 17th for us?
It's a great question. Are you wearing a Turd 316 shirt on this show?
I was here. Most of you don't know that, but I was at this event. So we'll see if you can find me in the crowd.
He is 7 from the Dark Order. So let's go. If everyone's ready, we will go ahead and press play on our YouTube of AEW Dark episode 62 from November 17th, 2020. Okay. And here, and an hour in. Remember that. It's an hour in.
Exactly.
So here we go in 3, 2, 1, play. And away we go.
Man, someone's walking into the back.
Yeah.
That was Layla Hirsch. Legit Layla Hirsch.
Win on Dark, too.
I just got an advertisement.
Hey, man, I'm looking at Luchasaurus. He was a Big Brother star for a little while.
Yes, he was. What was that, season 16?
That he was. He had 2 twins coming after him, Mike. Remember that? Or actually, flip that around. He was going after 2 twins.
So if I can be that guy, can I get a time code 30 seconds into the show?
I've 1 hour and 33 seconds.
33 seconds.
I'm at 26, 27, yeah.
And speaking of twins, aren't these Devon Dudley's boys?
Yeah, yep.
They're twins.
Those are the Dudleys?
Yeah.
Those are Devon Dudley's sons. Yes, his twins. His twin boys.
Speaking of tactical vests or mesh vests,
Yeah.
For the record, guys, well, that's Devon Dudley's kids. We also have Bubba Ray's kid, Mr. Henry Evingham, joining us today. Henry, hope you're doing well, sir.
map it.
I'm not doing bad. How are you guys this afternoon?
We
good.
decided that's going to be your first ever shirt, Henry. We're going to make you a shirt that says "Map It."
Map it.
I like that. That could be a real niche thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
I think if there is Top Guy Theater After Dark, I want Henry to run down every conceivable way a team can or cannot clinch an NFL playoff berth.
Can someone explain to me, and maybe it's just my lack of knowledge for these guys, what the hype is for Luchasaurus?
Huge.
I don't. Everyone,
6'8".
yeah, no, not
6'11".
height. No, the hype. Because I hear
Oh, the
a lot
hype.
about, I hear a
Oh.
lot about Jungle Boy Jack Perry and how everyone says he has this massive potential. And I hear a lot about Luchasaurus's background, but I don't know a lot about Luchasaurus.
So Lucha Underground is where I would point to.
Oh, Matt is excited.
Yeah.
Matt is ready.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
has your answer.
what I'm gonna do is just lob the softball up, and Matt just here you go. You got a fungo bat, and I just threw you a racquetball, knock it out of the park.
He's a trios champion. It's the Bray Wyatt theory. The guy's built like a howitzer tank, but yet he moves with a Ferrari engine. When you really see him go,
Don't you
he's
Husky Harris me.
fantastic.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a Husky Harris quote. Get that shit out of the show.
But Matt, for those who may not, what is it? What is a trios champion? Like what company are you referencing with that?
I'm referencing Lucha Underground specifically, but it's no different than any of the 6-man titles that you see around.
There you go.
Ring of Honor has a 6-man active division right now. You see the Never 6-man in New Japan Pro. There's a trios in a AAA, I believe, as well as CMLL. So you see it a lot, both in the United States, but also miscellaneous promotions around the globe.
Matt was our person that said to be joining us. Was she not with Luchasaurus and
She
Jack
wrestled
Evan?
for Lucha Underground as Cobra Moon,
Right.
and she was trios champion with Luchasaurus and Drago when they turned
Drago.
heel.
I wonder
And
how many
Drago
people.
has one of the coolest masks that you are ever going to
Oh.
see. It's sort of this latex, very, very articulate detail work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me about Drago the other day and how I never heard of him. And you're like, Phil, you don't need to sleep on Drago. You need to check that shit out.
Oh,
Drago
He's
is
great.
amazing.
well, any of that, Son of Havoc, oh my gosh. I mean, Lucha Underground was, despite all the politics, the contracts, some of the
Mel Muertes.
and savory talents that they had signed. In retrospect, Lucha Underground was the breath of fresh air of pro wrestling that I never saw coming. Cinematic.
You think about it, they're the originators of the cinematic style.
They are. They made it to the well, shouldn't say made it to the masses, but when they got on iTunes, I was like, I tweeted it out almost daily. I'm like, go and watch this, because it was season done. And man, not to interrupt, but it was almost the telenovelas that Brandy, you brought up, that it was a soap opera meets sci-fi meets wrestling meets the craziest intergender stuff that outside of Candice LeRae and fill in the blank against the Young Bucks I've ever seen in my life.
The Taya Valkyrie stuff is insane.
Unreal.
Absolutely.
Unreal.
I mean,
It's-
even
it's-
before the fallout, the stuff with Sexy Star, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And that made it
still
even
a-
agree or disagree, that made it maybe even hotter.
Hey, you guys,
Absolutely.
somebody said the word sex and Frank was trying to chime in. Go
sorry,
ahead,
there
Frank.
was a wrestler by the name of Sexy Star who was a big star in Lucha Underground in the first season. And then something happened in Mexico where she legitimately hurt another wrestler on purpose, and therefore
Oh
she's
shit.
persona non grata to wrestling.
Rosemary.
Rosemary, yeah, for Impact
Yeah,
Wrestling.
that's bullshit.
Matt,
That
did you
should
think
be
they
going
did a
down.
good job in the at least I won't give my opinion, but your thoughts on how they cover that in Final Nail in the Coffin in the Vampiro documentary?
You know, it got so blended with the Jarrett incident
Mhm.
that it almost got glossed over, because in that same show you have Killer Cross almost come to blows with Jeff Jarrett, who is bombed on something, and I think that's shortly before he went to rehab.
Yes,
But
yes, it was.
I thought there was so much going on backstage at that show. That show in
It was a
particular,
lot.
because you have the Rosemary incident with Sexy Star, you have people that are literally almost coming to blows over that. And then you go one step further, and Jarrett almost gets into fights backstage with not only Vampiro, but
Everybody.
with everyone. Yeah. And Killer Cross, who is a dude that you do not want to mess with just based on look alone.
The cinematography, when they do the shot of him from the chair up in that, and you look at that guy, and that's how I saw him, but I saw him kickbox. See, I saw him as T-Bar or Dominic Dijakovic. You know, he'd be at the FSW training gym kickboxing, and I'm like, this guy could murder anybody in this arena instantly. But when you see him holding that chair and that grin, I'm like, that guy right there, that right there is the epitome of money. He could be the next Randy Orton. He could be, I don't know. He could be his own thing. It was like Aleister Black, Randy Orton, all combined with like a diet by Batista body. We got.
In the
Be careful
blue
with that
hell is
R word
this?
about Brandy.
That is D3.
Not Mighty Ducks 3, where they go play for the
No,
different
and
coach.
this is the team I'm here for. This is the Acclaim. This is Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, the 5-tool player, your current WrestlePro Gold champion. He's also one of the very few out male athletes in wrestling.
Very good.
Incredible worker.
What do you think about
I
them
love Anthony Bowens.
signing Jake Atlas, Brandy? WWE.
I really want them to do well by Jake Atlas, because not only is Jake a well-spoken, great representative for the LGBTQ community, he's talented as all get out. Like, there is
He's got
absolutely,
everything.
there's nothing he can't do. If you've not seen him do the LGBTDT, it
Was
is
it
incredible.
PCW where he beat, was it Mill?
So he
Mortis in order
beat
to win
Mill
their
in
heavyweight
PCW, but then he gained the Percy Pringle III Cup at some point in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood when I was there. And I go, oh, he's probably gone. Because like there were certain guys that I knew were going to be, that guy's out the door.
And he's so young. He's in his early 20s. He's just getting started, and he's already so good. A product of the Santino Brothers wrestling group in Southern California.
I cannot tell you how happy I am that you just said there's a Percy Pringle III Cup.
Yes.
There is.
Yeah.
Dave has been so great about that.
PP3
that
Cup.
was introduced not long after excuse me, not long after Percy died. Percy worked with Dave Marquez in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. That was one of the last places he worked. He really helped the guys. He really helped Sean Ricker, Eli Drake. He was a manager for him. And they introduced that cup not long after Percy passed away. It's a tournament that's done every year in his honor. And it's a big deal in Southern California.
They do that one in the Red Carpet Rumble, and that's both
Tournaments
of
are
those.
a huge deal in Western or out west.
They are huge. The
Absolutely.
Red Carpet Rumble is a big deal. The PP3 Cup is
well, then you have
because so many announcers were stumbling over Percy Pringle III. I got it down, and I'm like, all right, I could say it. What do you guys want me to call it? How do you want to do it? But guys that have gone on to win it, Willie Mack, MJF, or it was
Russ.
defended against MJF from Sway Thompson. That's I mean, the SoCal wrestling scene is.
You got APW, the King of the Indies. You've got Bola with PWG, which seems to be the anointing of the next big guy that's going to be something.
And then you also have their tag team tournament, the DDT4.
You got DDT4, and then you go up to NorCal, and you got, if you want your different tastes, you got Hood Slam. And if nobody's seen Hood Slam, if you want to see a combination of ECW plus weed and video games
and alcohol
and DDT, maybe a little bit too, welcome to Hood Slam.
I think I'm in.
Yep.
I like all of those things you just said.
It's hosted
nuts.
It's hosted by a character that's played by AJ Kirsch, which everybody remembers from Tough Enough, and he won that Rock promo challenge thing as Brosif Joe Brody, who is hilarious. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of characters. It's not serious. Don't bring your fucking kids. That is the tagline.
Oh my God, no, it is not.
That is the tagline for the promotion. Don't bring your fucking kids.
That's
that one.
hell of
And
a
then I
tagline.
was surprised how filled Vegas got, because Vegas went from kind of a desolate area to a lot of people moved out there for MMA, said F this with MMA, and the wrestling movement exploded. I'm sorry, LA, Las Vegas. Vegas just exploded with talent from Karrion Kross, Kevin Cross, what do you want to call him, Cage, Chris Bay, God, go down the line. I mean, one of our favorites, Brandy Jody, the wrestler, is still there. One guy I do want to get on. Their talent is outrageous on so many levels.
Well, it's also that's the scene. You would have seen Bandito come to the U.S.
Yep.
You would have seen Dragon Lee come to the U.S. All of the Ingobernables that are basically the running the show in Ring of Honor would have trekked through California, Vegas, sort of that scene at one point.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then Arizona
Bandito.
just stuck our, and we just hit our stride, because my first match back was MJF.
Sorry, the Pink Dream, Alex Gracia, is in the ring.
Oh, I do
Check her
like
out, y'all. She's trained by Rudy Boy Gonzalez in Texas, which was the original Shawn Michaels wrestling school that was taken over by Rudy Boy Gonzalez.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a run-in happening right meow. Please welcome to the show.
Oh my God.
Former NWA Women's Champion. You can catch her now in AEW, which we're about to do. Thunder Rosa. Hello, Thunder.
Hi, sorry guys. We were just putting the ring together. We've been having some issues here at my school. So I had to come in, and the students were putting the ring, and I was like, oh, I think I have an interview.
Is everything okay? Everything good?
Yeah, they just had to, like, I bought a brand new ring, and I haven't, I'm used to, like, when you get a ring, you put it together and it doesn't, like, come this way. And oh my God, what's going on? So we had a bunch of people working on it, and we had to get a welder and everything. So it's fixed. Now we can use the rope.
Very good.
Can we have your old ring?
Yeah, so it's all good. It's my first ring ever, so that's kind of cool. Like it's kind of cool. Like, now that I think about it, that I have my own ring, I have, like, space where I can train. And I like really never really thought about having something like that so quickly, but things are going good though.
How is your school going here with, the pandemic and everything that's going on? How are you handling all of those things?
Well, when somebody gets, like, exposed to COVID or whatever, they quarantine. They're not allowed to come until they have, like, a clean test. Everybody's been very good at not, going to party and stuff like that. I mean, Texas has been open for a while now, so it's something that we have to deal with all the time. So what I asked the guys, and I recommended everybody, was to test themselves once a week, just to be on the safe, because everybody, like, I have a lot of kids that work for like one-on-one stuff, like with commerce with other people in in places where they are around other people. So it's like it's almost impossible not to like be around people or stay home. I mean, people need to work, but I mean, it's good. They're being responsible.
So today, Rosa, we kind of go back and we watch old wrestling shows and just kind of discuss them. Today we're watching AEW Dark, episode 62, November 17th from last year, because you're on the show. So I'm going to start off with a question. We'll kind of start passing around to different people. Transversing from the NWA to the AEW now, I almost said AWA. How has your time in the AEW been so far? How's the transition been for you?
It's been pretty good. I mean, at first it was a little hard because you come from, you're a big fish in a small pond, and then you go to like a bigger company, and then you're still a pretty nice size of fish in a bigger, like, I don't know, an ocean, right? But transition has been okay. I have to transition to what the AEW rules are and like how the locker room works and all that stuff. So it's been good. I mean, they keep bringing me back. They probably like what I do for so it's been good. I'm super blessed that Billy and Tony have been allowing me to work and just like build this platform bigger for my brand and also continue to bring the name for the NWA. So I like it. I mean, I like working with different people. Everybody has different styles, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Awesome. I tell you what, Rosa, I was I'll admit I was doing a little bit of research because I'm a big nerd. So in 2019, PWI Tops Women's 100, you were 97th. In 2020, you were 14th.
But they didn't tell you the truth. I'm not gonna say anything else, but I should have been higher.
I'm sure we all agree with that.
Ooh, a little bit heat on the show. Let's do this. Yeah.
Even so, that is still one of the biggest jumps, not just in the women's history, just in the history of the magazine. And given the COVID and the pandemic era, everything, just to have that much success in a 1 year time frame is nothing short of spectacular. So, what do you think attributed most to your success in the last year?
Hard work, man. This has not been the last year. It's been 6 years of like busting my ass and showing up and eating delicious piles of crap when I didn't have to, but I had to. I've been telling people for a long time that they're sleeping on me, and NWA were the only ones who were like, okay, let's see what she can do, and then they put the trust in me, and this is what I could do. And 2020 was definitely a year for me to like not allow anything or anybody to hold me back. And things happen in a very spectacular way. I never expected to work for AEW the way that things happen, especially being in NWA and being in representing the NWA in such a awesome pay-per-view, which was All Out, right? And but I was ready. I've been ready. I've been telling people I'm ready. It's just like I said, people didn't give me the opportunity to show what I'm capable of. Again, and I've said it multiple times. My name is my bond, and my name, I built my name. I'm not a second generation wrestler. I never did sports in my life, and wrestling happened to be the sport that I love, and that has opened the doors for me for pretty much everything I've done in the last 6 years.
Rosa, I have to say you segued that perfectly because as soon as you finished your comment on my question, your match is starting on Dark, Thunder Rosa versus Lindsay Snow. Actually, one of my favorite matches of yours of the year. I'm just going to sneak this real quick. Do you have any comments about this match?
What, the one for AEW or the one that I did for Mission Pro?
AEW Dark, November 17th, 2019. 2020.
A short match. I think I like the match that I had with her. We did a 20-minute match for the NWA title in our first show for Mission Pro Wrestling. That was pretty epic. I got match of the year for Texas for that match. So you can watch it online too.
Nice.
I'll have to check that out.
Brandy Wagner, I believe you're up next. You got some things to say?
I do. I actually I preview Mission Pro Wrestling events for the Last Word on Pro Wrestling. So I love talking about what you guys are being able to put together and do in Texas. I love that you are showing the younger girls that you have to just work. The only person you have is yourself to count on. You have to
Yeah.
do all the hard work. And I've watched you from SoCal to move to Texas through Shine to the NWA and now AEW. Who have you gotten to work with that is your favorite opponent, and who would you like to work with in the future?
I love working with Serena Deeb, man.
Mm.
She just like, she knows me. Like it's like I've said it before. She's my wrestling wife. You know, it's like every time we get in there, we like read each other and like we can do anything. It's really hard to find people like that in wrestling. Every time you get in the ring, you know it's gonna be a banger. I really enjoy working with her. I wish all my matches were as intense and as easy as that. Allison Kay, that's another one. She's my mistress. She's a mistress. But yeah, them two have been pretty good. We like read each other. We know each other like very well. Our movements, our limitations, and everything. So those are the ones that every time I get in the ring with them, we have a good time.
Anything else, Brandy?
No, I'm just so excited to see you grow. I women's wrestling is my passion, and I love a woman that is strong and is not afraid to say, "Look, take a chance on me. I will show you." And it's very inspiring, and I just can't wait to see where else you go.
Oh man, I can't wait either. I mean, what I can say, like 2020, that's what I'm gonna be working on. Is just gonna be working on my craft, working on like getting better in the ring, looking better. Possibly getting back on the cage and doing all stuff while I'm doing all this, running a show, running all the businesses. Nothing is impossible. It's just finding the way to do it and just continue to be outspoken. I think it is time for women to be allowed to be us, and I think when you start speaking like that, it comes with strings attached. Like people want to perceive you or want to put you as you're being you're the example. No, it's not that we're being perfect. We're just asking to be respected as who we are and what we do to make a living, especially right now on the COVID, like some of the stuff that some of the girls are doing or whatever, they could have been portrayed as terrible or as not morally correct before, but some of them don't have other jobs and they got to do certain stuff, right? But that's another conversation for another time. But for myself, I will continue to show girls that you just have to be professional, you have to be respectful, and that good things will happen for you, but you just have to be patient.
Well, the day that you are ready for that conversation, please let me know. We will have it on the show. I'm excited for that. I'm going to warn you, Rosa, our next guy, Matt Levitt, big fan of yours. He's been following you a long time, so he might have a few questions for you.
All right, shoot it.
So you had a run with Lucha Underground as Cobra Moon and held the trios champion with, I believe it was Daga and now Sammy Callahan. I think he went by a different name in that promotion.
We still the champion, man. Even though they folded, we still the trios champion.
That's right. Where do you come out on intergender wrestling? This is such a hot button topic. Some people are totally against it. Some people are totally for it. Some people find it that it's appropriate under certain circumstances. Where are you at? And then a follow-up question to that would be, do you see it as something that's viable in a major production on national cable television on a network like TNT?
Listen, my husband and I, when we created another promotion that we used to own in California, we focused a lot on intergender wrestling. We ran the first show ever, like full show in California that was intergender. And then we came to Texas and we ran another show for the first time in the history of intergender. I used to do a lot more intergender matches before. I think if you can do intergender if it's booked correctly, could be doable, right? I mean, we train with men all the time. I train with men in MMA too all the time. It's very hard to find women to train with unless you go out of the state or out of your area because there's not that many women. But like I said, I've done it before. I'm not against it. When I worked Lucha Underground, I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to be pushed and do a lot more than I thought I could, because I was wrestling a lot of very experienced males that were big stars in Mexico and the United States. So it's definitely something that we as women can take and use it as an advantage. In terms of like mainstream, I don't know. Like I said, there's still a lot of things that people don't see as normal. And intergender is one thing because of the whole situation with domestic violence. And now it gets a little tricky because of other circumstances that happened in 2020 that to do with relationships between men and women and how like people don't understand the line and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Rosa, so the male versus male, female versus female, that's really like an old school mentality that a lot of someone who's really outspoken about it is actually Jim Ross, and we hear him a lot on Grill and JR, how he talks that it's not for him. He's not necessarily against it, but he doesn't see it as ever being a constant in wrestling where it's going to be a regular thing. Is there any sort of counterpoint you could give to that?
I mean, like, again, it's not for everybody, and you can't force people to like love it and understand it and accept it. It will be, if it's gonna be accepted, it will take a little while, and we have to do like baby steps for it, right? Because you can book matches and where it's not even physically possible, and where you have a tiny little woman facing a humongous man, and then the woman goes over. I totally understand why the pundits will be like, no, I don't believe in this. This is stupid, But again, if you do something like similar, like weights and not weight classes, but at least somebody that is not as big or whatever, and then you do a good story and you tell a good story, I wouldn't see why people wouldn't accept that, but it's gonna take time.
Jumping kind of back on that as well, you led the Reptile Tribe back in Lucha Underground. Is there a group of individuals or maybe a handful of folks that you could see yourself being a part of a stable with, or that you'd like to work in conjunction with, either in AEW or outside of the promotion?
Let's see. That's a good staple. It's a great question. I mean, I love the Inner Circle. I love Jericho. I think Jericho is so much fun inside and outside of the ring. And I'm a little like envious of the guys that are in the Inner Circle, because just being with him is like automatically you have eyes on you. And then just being around him, you learn so much about the business, right? I would definitely like to be with, if I was in a stable with somebody, I would like to be with one of the old school people in any company, like the Rock and Roll Express. I would like to be with them. They're so much fun. I learned so much from them. They're so real. And like I said, not only I learn about the ins and outs of the ring, but I learned about like storytelling, like getting over, and like, using the stable for your advantage and for the advantage of the rest. I mean, there's so many people, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Thank you so much, Carl. I think you're up.
Hey, Thunder, I've a little embarrassed by this one, being close personal friends with Joe Galley, Brandon, and Emily Taylor.
I love that.
I was like, what show was I on with Thunder? And we were there, Joe, and because I was doing stick, and he's like, dude, I don't know if it was AEW, if you're back home in Chicago, or if you're down, because I've done work with Dave Marquez, FSW in Vegas, but I was like, I don't think she was in Vegas, so I don't know what show. I'm not sure. I don't know what show we were on together. We were on some show together, and we just did a quick stick thing, and that was kind of that. But I wanted to ask you a couple of things. One, Joe texted me today, said, ask her how Drago is doing. And did you name your dog after the Lucha Underground wrestler, or after Ivan? Okay, not Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. I thought so. Okay.
Yeah. Drago's doing fine. He was super annoying this morning. He got in between my husband and I. My husband wanted to hug me, and then Drago just keep getting in the middle
What did
until my face.
hey
jealous.
what yeah, I could see the ears prick up. Jealousy. Now getting your own ring, what's it like having Jazz as the head trainer there, is somebody that can kind of steer the ship when you're not there and you're on the road? Can you kind of speak to that of her really, I mean, you want to talk about tales from the road and really paying her dues and blazing a trail. Can you talk about Jazz as somebody involved in your wrestling school?
It's just like the combination, because we have Jazz and Roddy Mack, and my husband helps out too. He's our dummy, and he's been around wrestling for a while now, so he knows when he's talking all things. It's pretty awesome. Like, I can tell you, yesterday we had class, and we do a lot of amateur wrestling, which I don't feel like a lot of schools, or like a lot of the schools that I've been into, they don't do a lot of amateur wrestling. I want the kids to feel like what the intensity is and what the difference is when, you have to act, and then when you have to put all that intensity in order for you to pin somebody, right? It's like teaching them a sense of urgency, from not only telling them to have a sense of urgency, but how does it feel when you need to have a sense of urgency to win a real fight or a real match. So yesterday we were all doing that, and we were all pitching in, and it just feels super awesome that we are all like in the same page and trying to teach the same way. And the whole thing is like we're trying to like help each other out in so many different ways, and help our students in so many different ways. Like it feels like a family, and I like what we're doing and what we're building. I mean, they already had the students, so a lot of the students came with them. We have like 5 or 6 new students coming in, and I mean, we still have a long ways to go. We want to focus a lot on recruiting women. That's one of the main things that we open the school, is to recruit women. I don't feel like a lot of in the United States, just in general, we do a good job on recruiting women and maintaining the women in the schools, because it's a hard business. But I think when you're being taught by 2 very strong female wrestlers and entertainers, it's just takes to the next level. I mean, can you guys tell me how many female trainers on professional wrestling are there in the United States?
I can't even think of any.
I got not much.
Not a lot.
And you talk about that, having that dynamic of having 2 females there to teach, and almost in a way of comfort. When I got to know Brandon and Emily very well, and I know that you've gotten to know them. And when I got to edit Brandon's entrance video that he's using now, we became very close friends. But it wasn't until he talked about the Safe Wrestling Coalition and the way you were able to connect there. Can you kind of speak to that? And on top of that, what that's meant to you as far as a passion and something that you have been able to take something that might be traumatic and turn it into a silver lining or a barrier for the women that you are recruiting, that being safewrestlingcollective.org.
I think for me, it's been more like teaching them how to become more professional, and when things like this happen, that like guiding them to like talk to the right person, because it's a process, and I know that and it's a painful process, because like not only you get all traumatized and you go through all these things, is the legal situation that a lot of people don't understand. And I know a lot of girls and guys are going through a lot of legal problems right now, and they didn't even know that by saying something online, that all the things that could carry or later on in life. And that's the one thing I talk to my students, and I talk to a lot of girls and guys, that they have to be very careful when they're in instances like that, to like really seek for counseling, legal counseling, and other type of counseling, because it's going to scar them for life. Right. And what you guys are doing is great. And I've been talking to Emily, and it's definitely something that we will be looking forward to implement once we get it all together. It's to, have conversations and bring HR people and people that you guys are working on to to inform our males and females on their rights, regardless if we're independent contractors or not, and what's the best way to protect ourselves in the future when these kind of things happen.
I really appreciate the candid answer, and all my respect, and the fact that you're doing both what you're doing in and outside the ring. Really, you can't put it into words. So I thank you for that. Now I'll let the next person kind of go, and hope to see you soon on a show, actually.
My
Hey,
next live show is not until February 27th in Tennessee. So, oh, I'm lying. It's February 6th in Mission Pro Wrestling, so you guys can watch an entitled match.
Oh, Mission Pro. Oh, there you go. There we go. All
Exactly,
right.
and
That's what I'm talking about.
Probably about February 1st, my preview will go out for that event.
I
Yeah.
just got to ask Rosa, when do you sleep?
I do, man. I don't know. Now that I work in AEW, it's very hard. I sleep like 3-4 hours a day, and I think I'm gonna get busier and busier. Whenever I can sleep, I sleep. Like seriously, anytime I can. Like Saturdays and Sundays, because I haven't been working, I haven't been traveling. I sleep. If I don't, man, I don't sleep. I don't sleep a lot.
I'm not gonna lie. So in my attempts to get people on our show, I had a list, and you were on the list, but you were on like there's no way they're gonna have time or be able to make this show list. It was kind of one of those, there's no way she'll make it. I'll send her a message.
Well,
And
got to. Thank you
What's
so
that?
much for that.
No problem. Looks better.
It's great now. Now it's not like that. Yes, it's safe. Thank you. Sorry.
Are you good, Frank Bruno? You want to unmute yourself and join
Yeah,
us?
I'm just being polite. So real quick,
Polite,
I
he
have
says.
I have I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I've been watching wrestling for 32 years, and my shift on my stance on life has changed since having a daughter, and I really just wanted to comment and thank you, because I look at you as a very strong and powerful woman, and I have started having my daughter Callie watch some of your matches, and she's not super into wrestling yet, but she understands that daddy is, and I want her to grow in this world as a strong and powerful person. So I look at you as a role model for her. So I just wanted to thank you for just being who you are, being here, and being a strong and powerful presence for my little girl and all little girls around that are watching, and young women as well. So I truly appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I grew up with nothing but women at home, and I know that being a woman sometimes can be, confusing. It can be hard because you're trying to be gentle, you're trying to be feminine, you're trying to do the right
Right.
thing, too sexual, not to be too prude, and it's just like, you know what? I always said that I'm gonna be myself,
Yes.
and I've been myself for a minute, and I own to things. I own to like, uh, you know, my beauty, my looks. I say that and sounds so like conceited. But it took me a while, because otherwise, like when I was younger, like I will allow men to like not be so nice to me. And I think when we teach our daughters to like be like, no, you need to be strong. You need to tell the person and your friends too what you want and what you don't like, and you need to let them know. And I think that's for me now that I'm 34 years old. Like I'm like, no, I know what I like. I know who I am. And this is me. You either like me or you don't. If you don't, God bless your heart. You can find somebody else. And I think teaching that to the girls too, at a young age is important. Like my dad, it was kind of weird, because like he always said that I was a boy in the house. So because I was very
I always
strong.
tell her to be who you are, and I appreciate that comment, because it solidifies that it is about being who you are. So I appreciate that. So I'll let the next person go, but just again, a major thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, well, I'm a little nervous. Don't mind me.
I will, but you pay me.
What was it?
don't worry, Antonio. You're only talking to a megastar. It's okay.
Oh, thanks, Phil. Thanks, Phil. Um, out of all the women wrestlers at any promotion, is there like one particular that you never faced before that you would think like, boy, we could tear the house down if we ever have a match?
Mm, currently, let's see. My senpai, she was my trainer in Japan, Io Shirai. I would love to have with her.
Oh,
I think I'm ready now. When I was in Japan, I wasn't, because I was too green, but I think I'm ready now.
Oh yeah, that would be a great match. Sorry, I'm just a little nervous, but thank
Oh,
you
that's okay.
for being here with us.
No, thanks for having me.
This is the most adorable I've ever seen Antonio in my entire life.
I'm trying to be a good boy. I'm trying to be a good boy here.
we thought Matt was going to be the one acting all puppy lovers, but it's Antonio over here.
Don't worry.
It's adorable.
I have that effect on a lot of men. Don't worry. I intimidate men. They don't come and talk.
I've got 4 daughters. No women can intimidate me anymore.
Right? Good.
Let's go to our resident cartographer, Henry Evingham. What do you got, buddy?
Thanks, TJ. I got to be honest, before I ask my question, my extent of wrestling knowledge, especially as it relates to women, unfortunately revolves mostly around WWE and what little bit was in WCW before it folded. And the last major thing I know of the NWA, except for you, involves Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
So I don't know how qualified I really am to ask this question, but one, if I wanted to begin to immerse myself in wrestling outside of the sphere of NWA, WWE, or AEW, where would you recommend the best place to begin that would be?
Man, that's a really good question. Mission Pro Wrestling, man. You can watch our shows. They're actually pretty good. Also, what is good? I mean, Japanese wrestling was also like a good place for you to follow. Shimmer has some good matches, but it's kind of hard to find them. Where else? There's good women's wrestling. Man, did you watch all the power shows with the women? Or you haven't?
I've seen a few, not very many.
I will say a lot of our season 1 and season 2 of Power were really good. Their matches are really short, but they're perfect. It's like short to the point, and people really understand that. They like that format of match. Where else? Impact is a good place to watch good female wrestling. And some of the indie shows, you just have to do some research. But for me, like, those are the ones.
And I do wonder one more thing. Given the state that women's wrestling has gone through since its inception way back in the 50s to now, where we've seen such a large jump, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, where do you see women's wrestling going from here within, say, the next 5 years?
It all depends on who's booking women matches. Because that's the key. If there is interest on women in being in main event or semi-main, or who's like the hottest thing, because it goes on waves. I feel, but I think if more women get more involved in training, get more involved in booking, get more involved in like story writing and everything, things can like change from tremendously in 5 years. But if we don't get involved in that, we'll probably be doing something similar to what we're doing right now, or a little bit better. But it all depends on what we want and how we go about it.
I got to be honest, asking you questions was a bit more difficult than rebooking Hog Wild with Eric Bischoff. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
As we're your match has come and gone now with Lindsay Snow, but I didn't have a lot of exposure to you before the NWA, and one of the things I've always wanted to ask you was, where does the inspiration for your face paint come from?
It was given to me by a promoter in Merced, Coluche Extreme. That's where I did it first, and it was because they wanted to target more Latino viewers, and I was doing like TV back then. It was like a little TV show that they had, and then the whole thing of keeping it, because I was just gonna do it there, was because in Japan, my first tour in Stardom, I got a concussion and I almost died. And I refused to use the face paint before this happened. And then I used it as a resemblance of me almost dead. My husband was like, just use it and see how it goes. And it went well, but I mean, it's a longer story, but to make the story short, my grandfather died watching professional wrestling in Mexico. He was watching Lucha Libre and he got a heart attack. So I'm pretty sure that the reason why I'm using Day of the Dead makeup is because I was supposed to be a wrestler, and I'm supposed to represent those who have passed away and bring them to life every time I get in the ring. So that's why you see the intensity, the passion, the fire, because it's more than me being a wrestler. It's just like all those people that I came across, and they were there for me, and they're rooting for me every time I get in the ring, but they're no longer with us.
Well, unfortunately, there is no easy transition to this, but recently we have lost Brody Lee. So do you have anything you'd like to say about Brody while we're on the topic?
He was like, when you talk about like good people, and this is not like because he just passed away and I want to make a good comment. He had like such nice energy about him, and he was so polite. Like I remember, like my last memory of him, it was I was at AEW and I was at a trailer, and he was making everybody laugh in the trailer, and he was just like so candid with everybody, and like everything that everybody said is true. Like I was telling somebody, if I was to die, I will like something like that to happen. Like people remember me the way that they remember him, because man, he was a wonderful human being.
Thank you for that. We have one more cast member to jump in. Mike Kolb has some things for you.
I don't know how I follow that up. Rosa, pleasure. Thanks for joining us today. My question is going to be a little bit of a curveball, so not in the crazy sense by any means, but one you probably don't get asked very often. I am our show's resident prank war champion, and my question comes to you. I know that you do emphasize how important it is to be professional with those that you teach and in your own professional life, but do you have any good ribbing stories? Any good ribs that you pulled?
I don't like doing ribs, man. That one thing I hate the most is when people make fun of me or do ribs on me. I get so pissed. So that's why I'm like, no, I'm not gonna rib people. Like, oh man. But I heard some like horrible ones that I will be like, I probably would have quit wrestling. No, I don't.
Yeah, we've had people quit the show over my ribs, so I totally understand that.
Yes.
Yeah, the worst thing you could ever do around Mike is give him your address. It will ruin the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I'm still getting glitter out of my carpet.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. So, but a couple more things here, Rosa. We'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this, and I mean it. I'm not just saying it because you're with us and Jazz is your instructor. I went to WrestleMania 19, and the women's title match on that show was Trish Stratus, Victoria, and Jazz. And to this day, I still think Jazz stole that match. And really, from like 2001 until like 05, I thought Jazz was the glue that held the division together. Like, of course, you had your stars, but Jazz was the constant. And how meaningful is it to you for women's wrestling to have someone like Jazz with that consistency? And she was so good and snug and everything else. How valuable is it to have Jazz on your staff?
For me, as personally, she just teaches me that I have to always be myself, no matter what, no matter the circumstances, no matter who's in the ring with me. I have to be myself, and I have to be Thunder Rosa at all times. And she just she keeps me very humble in that aspect. I have a lot of conversations with her, and very difficult conversations. And having her to be mentoring me, mentoring students, it's invaluable. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to God for making this happen.
Looks like Antonio, you got one more thing?
Yeah, I hope you whoop Britt Baker and Reba's ass.
Brother, it's not I hope.
Oh, you will.
I'm gonna fucking do it.
Breaking news.
So disrespectful how she took me down and smushed my face. Like, you don't do that. It's like taking a mask on a masked wrestler. Like, come on, man, don't.
Yeah, that's no good.
No.
So Rosa, we got a little chat going over the side here, and I have to ask, because I mentioned it earlier, you've piqued our interest. Can we get a peek at the ring?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna show you how our school. Hold on, I stopped the video. This is the facility where we're staying at, and this is the ring. Those are three of our students. like beginners, and then yeah, just like I said, it's family oriented, family, very like we all treat each other like family. Hi. You want to say hi? Say hi.
Hi.
Hi there.
He's one of our students' son, so we try to keep it in the.
They start young nowadays, don't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Our youngest one, she's 11.
I have
Wow.
I have 6 kids. If I sent them to you, could you straighten them out for me?
I don't know. You have to give me a special form, release form, so they
Oh,
can come.
I will sign whatever you want if you take my kids.
Come on.
I mean, I love my kids. Don't get me wrong.
This has
Yeah,
turned
so-
into one of my favorite things on the show.
Yes.
So- This is the sneak peek of the Duck Pound Dojo.
Yeah, it's I'm actually a foster dad, so I understand the whole 3.5, 4 hours of sleep thing, and I can only imagine, just me. I feel like a referee in my house with 6 kids, so I can't imagine what it's like training the number of people you have at your dojo.
It's not as hard as you think. I'm just very sometimes I'm very strict. Like I let them have fun, but when I see that they're not paying attention, then the Japanese style Thunder Rosa comes out and be like 200 squats. They're like no, or like 1 push-ups. Go. Because like they have me do that in MMA. Like if I mess up, 25 push-ups every time I mess up. 100 squats every time I mess up. So I make sure when I do stuff, I'm doing it right. And that's the thing that I tell the kids is like, I know this is boring. I know this is like tedious, but you guys have to do it right. Or your basics have to be right always. That's what saved me from being like the drissles when I went to Japan. It was my basics were there, like my arm drags, my bumps, my everything. Even psychology, and I was really, really like, I was super green. I was not even 3 months in the business when they sent me to Japan. And I was not even a year in when I got signed to Underground. So it was always that.
I've always wondered about your journey, and while our interaction was brief, it was like a one take, Jake. I asked a question, you did it, and there was something that lasted with me until we've reconnected now. Would you change anything about your journey because your fire and your drive, your vision? I mean, I see the octagon in there of the UFC to incorporate that, the ring. Is there parts of it that you say, yeah, that sucked, or that was awful, or that was brutal, but it made me the person that I am today in 2021? Do you look back at any of those struggles and say that, you know what, that while that was brutal, it might have been the long-term blessing that I needed? Is there anything that stands out for you like that? I know it's a little bit hypothetical.
I think if I wouldn't gone through what I went through, I wouldn't be teaching, and I wouldn't be advocating for other women. I went through a lot of shit, and my journey hasn't been the easiest journey. Like per se, I'm a Mexican born wrestler. I have an accent. I'm a person of color. I'm 5'3". I'm like one of the smallest ones all the time. So of course I'm always gonna be underlooked, and people are gonna make comments, and people are gonna say things. People are gonna create like gossip and whatever. But again, that made me a lot stronger, and I'm a strong-willed person just by origin. So I don't, like I said, I wouldn't change. There's 1 or 2 things that I will change, but I wouldn't change anything, because if I would, I wouldn't understand certain things, and I wouldn't be the way that I am now. Somebody that, like now is like, okay, nothing is going to stop me. Nothing is going to stop me to get where I want to be, and I've said it multiple times. I mean, I said in many interviews, I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to rest until I say, okay, I can say that I'm one of the most successful Mexican-born wrestlers in the history of wrestling. That's my goal. That's going to be my legacy. Like my name, like when they talk about women's wrestling, they're going to talk about Thunder Rosa. And that's not only because the person could work in the ring, is because it's what she did outside of the ring. I mean, and sometimes that's the most important part, is what you do outside of the ring to help others and to cement your legacy as an individual, right? I mean, I am a social worker by trade, And it's always that. It was like, what you're going to do to make your community better. And it only takes one person to start doing that stuff.
You've definitely got the snowball rolling, and to hear that there is such a thing as a healthy chip on your shoulder that can exist, that can be that driving force, is not just what why we watch you, but I can't speak for everybody, but it keeps us all motivated too. So seeing that, hearing that, I think is very perceptive, and I thank you for that.
You're very welcome. And again, for me, it's like wrestling's a platform, but there's other different platforms that I can use to achieve what I've said, you know. And again, my higher power is always putting the right pieces together on the right elements for me to achieve what I want to achieve. And when you know, whenever that happens, I will be very glad to share it with you guys.
I got this question while you were answering Carl there, because you touched on some things, and this is why I enjoy more organic conversations as opposed to planned out interviews, because these things happen. What's the thing you want to achieve outside the wrestling world? Like, what are your goals outside of that? Like, what impacts do you want to have? What things do you want to accomplish?
I really do want to motivate and empower women in my community, especially in the professional wrestling area, in where that, yeah, you can use wrestling as a tool to become or go where you want to be, but also to become a business owner. I think when a lot of people get in here, they just do it for a hobby, or they do it because it's their passion and they want to go to WWE, but you don't understand that possibilities, endless possibilities that exist once you join wrestling to become your own business person, your own boss, and like what you can achieve by using some of the skills that you learn in the business. That's why it's called a business, right? Mm-hmm. And at first, like, I was very curious, and now, like, my mind is always racing, and I'm always looking for the next little business that I can make, or I can start opening, or stuff like that. And that's like so important to have that mentality, because we are our own business. And there's been so many people that have been in wrestling that, you know, they've been on top, they make millions of dollars, and right now they're doing GoFunds because they can't even afford their, you know, expenses. And why was that? Is because they weren't with the right people, and they weren't thinking on the right things to plan for their future. I mean, we can only use our body for so long to make money, right? And if we can educate other people, for me, educating other people is the most important part of being here, becoming an educator to guys and girls too, that they can make a living out of professional wrestling.
Well, go ahead, Phil.
You know, recently, a couple years back, we had the first all-female WrestleMania main event. You know, and that was pretty awesome. But a lot of people are saying that that's probably not going to happen, maybe ever again. And it was a one-off because of Ronda Rousey's involvement. Do you see yourself main eventing a AEW or NWA pay-per-view anytime soon?
Me being an AEW pay-per-view?
Main event.
Man, that would be one of my dreams. Like, hell yeah. I mean, hell yeah. Yeah, I draw. I can't do this. It will happen. I don't know if like in the next year or so, but it will happen, man. Like, I think so. That will be freaking amazing.
We've got one more from Henry, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Go ahead, Henry.
I did begin to wonder one thing as I started to listen to the others ask questions again. And then I lost my train of thought. I hate it when that happens. Who were some of your inspirations to get into the ring?
I really didn't have like that's not an answer that I can be like, yeah, man, I used to watch. I didn't have no other sport that I could do. And then my husband said, you should get in the ring. And I was like, all right. And I did a tryout and I got in the ring. And I loved it. And it was like the challenge. The challenge was what got me in the ring. And the challenge was what got me in the cage. Is when people challenge me and they say, no, you might be able to do it. And I'm like, okay. That's how it was.
Admittedly, that wasn't the answer I was expecting, but I like that.
Yeah. I'm not your cookie cutter type of wrestler, man. I little. I didn't. 99% of the time, when famous people came around me, I didn't know who they were, and I have to hey, such and such, go and Google them, and I was like, holy shit! Oh yeah, oh shit, and I'm like, right, this is a super famous person. Until now, I'm like, all right, I know who they are because I've been like studying wrestling because I gotta watch wrestling, right? But no, man, it's like a lot of the stuff that I've done is because I challenged myself, or somebody put a challenge for me, and then I was like, all right, now let me do it now.
You make a cookie. I'm not your cookie cutter wrestler T-shirt for PWTs. That thing will be sold out like that.
So real quick, Rosa, over New Year's, we saw a Instagram post of you with Sheeta and Jim Ross. A lot of us here through the ad-free shows community gotten pretty familiar and had a lot of conversations with Jim Ross. Do you have any quick or good stories about Jim Ross?
She's funny. She's so funny. She's so funny. And every time he calls me a protege, I pop. I was like, Jim, stop calling a protege. He's like, no, it's just you're really good. You're really good. And he's a funny dude, definitely.
With Thunder, we appreciate you coming in and joining us today. I don't know, I can speak for everyone else. This was a blast. Really appreciate you coming. Appreciate you coming on. And where can we see you coming up here pretty soon outside of AEW? And what's the name and the website of your school?
Is Dog Pound Dojo. We're accepting new students all the time. We're mainly, like I said, we're mainly focusing on women. Like I said, again, we want to really create a different environment for women that are interested in becoming professional wrestlers, but they're kind of afraid and they feel like wrestling can be a little bit intimidating. This is a safe space for them and for anybody, honestly. Like, we have a lot of kids that come with like no self-esteem, and they come here and they feel accepted. They feel like they can be part of a family. And that's the most important part, because at the end of the day, when in wrestling, you become part of someone's family. And that's what we want to do here at Dog Pound Dojo. Also, you guys can check us out on missionprowrestling.net. And if you want to watch our shows, it's on Title Match Network. That's where you can watch it. It's February 6th, and I have a match with Allison Case, a cage match. February 6th, so you should totally tune in to it. Ben, for me, you can find me on thunderrosa.net. All my merchandise is there, and all my socials are at thunderrosa22.
Well, I can speak for myself. I'm going to be ordering some shirts.
I
am now a fan.
Poster. I actually got on your site the other night, Rosa, and since you are our first major guest, I have decided to try to get some sort of autograph memorabilia from every major guest we have on the show. And I'm like, well, I'm going to order a poster, and it's going to go right here next to Kenny Omega and AJ Styles. And awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the support.
Rosa, we'll let you go ahead and get back to your school. Thank you for being with us today. We had a blast, Rosa. And we look forward to seeing you coming up here on AEW.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
What an amazing woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Where did Brandy go?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question, TJ.
She's off in a corner crying tears of joy.
Let's go ahead and end the show this way, because AEW Dark ended like 45 minutes ago. None of us paying attention. I actually got scared because I saw Batista. I'm like, wait, Batista went to AEW? Oh, wait, no, it's another video. Go around the horn. Start with Carl. What were your thoughts on what just transpired? I didn't know a lot about Rosa, and I'm a huge fan of hers.
When the whole speaking out movement happened with pro wrestling, it was, as a male, very difficult to decipher. Mm-hmm. Were trainers using their sexuality, masculinity, power to say, hey, I could get you booked here, but ... Safe Wrestling Coalition and Safe Wrestling Collective .org is been something that I got wrapped into only by proxy of who I knew. And I go, hey, who's the Southwest? Because they have people positioned throughout. They've got calls from China to Chicago of wrestlers that female and or male that have been taken advantage of. And I knew Thunder was a part of it. And there's like, if you go on their website, it says like Southwest Regional Manager. I knew that about her because I got looped into that. And I think what you have there is a blend of I've been held back, not to make this very modernized for the people that will see this. But what you have there is I've been held back. I've been held back. I'm not on your cups. I'm not on the side. I'm not on the logo entrance. Sound familiar? Sounds like a CM Punk to me. So to me, what she brings to the table is twofold. The modernization of protecting women as they are trained properly, with that almost healthy chip on my shoulder. You don't think I can do it? Well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And the fact that all of us were able to elicit that response from her, know her background, and ask the proper questions, I think not only speaks volumes for Thunder Rosa, I think it speaks volumes for Top Guy Theater and ad-free shows as we've listened along to Conrad or whoever it may be, asking the right questions at the right time. So I give kudos to all of you and for all the hard work that you guys put in to have, I don't even want to use their word talent because I think that's an understatement. I would say she's not going to be mentioned as Thunder Rosa. I wanted to almost jump in there and say Thunder Rosa, Latino female, the Ric Flair of that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and I'm not being a mark on this, I believe with her drive, what she's going to do in and outside of the ring. This is not the Fabulous Moolah. This is not Mae Young. This is not what they have been accused of doing. It's the exact opposite. Okay. So what she has at her fingertips and the drive that she brought could put her in a Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero category at the end of the day. I'm not saying barring injuries or anything like that. What she has inside of her and what she's overcome allows her to be there.
Very well put, Carl. That was very nice. Frank Bruno.
What I said to Thunder is very true. I really do want my daughter to be a strong and powerful person. We certainly live in a world now where equality is a thing, and it should be. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but I was born in 1980. We've come a long way since then,
Mm-hmm.
and having a little girl now and seeing it was amazing to me that we had our first ever WrestleMania main event between women. It's the women's revolution has amazed me, and how strong and powerful these women are is important to me, and I want people like Thunder Rosa to be a role model for my child. So I didn't know a lot about Thunder until I saw her show up in AEW, and I've slowly but surely learned things from all of you, some things on the internet. And not only do I think that the AEW women's division has got a huge shot in the arm by having her, and she deserves a lot of mainstream attention. So I will continue to have Callie watch some of her matches and just want to continue Callie's growth to be that strong, powerful woman like a Thunder Rosa. So I'm very happy to have met her, learned more about her, and had the opportunity to thank her.
Very nice. God, you guys are just so prophetic today. I don't know if I can keep up. Matt Levitt, you were the one that had probably the second most knowledge of Thunder Rosa going into this outside of just Brandy. And I really thought that you and Brandy's starting with you two was the right choice, because I think once she realized that we're not just a bunch of schmoes that do this, that, we actually take time to research, and you guys have actually followed her career. It opened her up a little bit more. So I know you had high expectations going into this show for this. How do you think it ended up?
It's interesting. One of the things that gets bandied about on AFS by the hosts of those shows is about, if you're not going to strive to be the world champion, what are you doing? If you're not striving to be the best, what are you doing? She clearly, right there in a nutshell, Carl used the term drive. She's got it in spades. She wants to be the greatest Mexican-born star, one of the pantheon of women's wrestlers. And it's no small wonder when you take that kind of drive and then you look at her career, she's gotten over with every gimmick, every organization that she's ever been a part of. She blew up in Lucha Underground. Her segments were always over with what could have been a really goofy gimmick, quite frankly, the way that that heel group was presented, but it worked really well, and she did a great job with it. She instantaneously got over in NWA when she showed up. And to the extent that Cornette was talking about how she was the biggest thing on the show when she appeared, that it was just the biggest thing that he'd seen, and how over she was, which is saying something when it's coming from Cornette.
Especially in today's world.
And now you hear some of the background, some of that drive, and she articulates those words of what is driving her, the fact that she wants to do the best. It's no wonder that she gets over everywhere that she is. So that was fantastic. It was an incredible experience getting to talk to her, getting to hear some of her story from her words. So just an incredible experience.
Mr. Santos.
I want to marry her. No, I'm playing.
Thank you for bringing the levity.
We could see the puppy love in your eyes, Antonio. You were just like looking at the toy you want so much for Christmas, just staring at it through the window of the toy store. You're like, oh my god.
I know. No, she was like awesome, very down to earth. I don't know a lot about her wrestling background, but now I'm gonna start watching her stuff. But she was just awesome.
You're still shaking.
Yeah.
What she said, NWA season 1 and 2. I'm telling you guys, nothing better. I mean, Lucha Underground, yeah, you could pay for it on iTunes, but Antonio, NWA season 1 and 2, Power, nothing better.
Well, she was awesome. I couldn't say anything else better.
Mike Kolb, you asked a ribbing question. It did not go so well. So how did you feel about it?
What's funny is I knew that's how that was going to go, because at the very beginning, you guys can ask DJ. I messaged him privately and said, skip me, because my question, she's totally too serious for my question. And then he texted me towards the end and goes, you sure you don't want to go? Fine. All right, I'll ask. And then that went how it went. No, so like, I mean.
Well, I did not intend to segue from Brody Lee to that also. So
yeah.
That's partially my fault.
Thanks.
That was cool.
Yeah, so as most of you may or may not know, I mean, I wasn't the biggest Thunder Rosa fan coming into this, admittedly, so it's probably because I hadn't seen much of her work either, though. So there's some things I learned in this. The things that I learned are Phil has foster kids. I learned that Frank has a daughter. I learned that Antonio is very nervous around women, and that Henry can hold himself back from asking about putting somebody on the map.
Yeah, Matt and Mike could have made $50, Henry, and you let them both down.
You have to tell me these things.
I learned that that I have a lot more respect for Thunder Rosa than I did at the beginning of this. I look forward to watching some more of her matches, and yeah, she was absolutely a plus. I thought when she got on, I'm not gonna lie, when she got on, she's like, we had a problem with the ring. I totally kind of forgot I had this. Like, oh, this is not going to be a good interview, and it ended up going really well. So. Mad props to you guys and mad props to her.
Phil Jackson, this is your get. You are the one that booked this. So first, bravo to you. And also standing ovation from TGT. Look at this. And with this being your first, what were your expectations coming into this, and did it live up to it?
Well, through our correspondence, her correspondence was very short and sweet. I mean, I think the longest message she sent me was like 8 or 9 words. I mean, And now talking to her,
Did
I
you think she was
realized,
going to Brooklyn Brother us?
oh God, no. Not talking to her and seeing what kind of person she is. She's so driven, has so many things going on at once that she's not one to waste words. All
Right.
right, I just type these couple things in. Let's go back to building my ring or training or running or AEW or any of the 8 million other things I'm doing all at the same time. By the way, Mike, when you asked her the question about the rib and she got pissed, I was just like, shit, no, not like she kind of scared me a little bit there.
I don't
Like,
think
no,
she got pissed. I just don't think she saw it coming.
right.
And
No,
then
no,
she
no,
was
not
just like,
like,
no, fuck that. I don't
no,
do
no.
that.
What I mean is like her response to being ribbed, like,
Right.
no, fuck that. I don't be ribbed. I'm like, whoa, I would never want to fucking rib
No.
her. No,
Good
no,
stuff.
no, no, no.
Because one thing
Um,
about her, none of us brought up, she is also an MMA fighter. So
Yeah.
she will
Yeah.
rip
We
your
saw
arm
the
off.
ring.
We saw the octagon.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
the thing you guys don't realize real quick, I'm sorry interrupting you here, Phil, but one of the reasons I asked that question was as I was asking it, I was in the middle of ordering something to rib somebody. So it just kind of came full circle.
Are they on the show?
They are not.
Okay, good.
Thank God.
I'm gonna get a cannon full of
It's
dicks.
not you. It's nobody
right in
on the show.
face.
Wow.
Politics.
But
It's
this
gonna be
might
it's,
be my
it's gonna
most
be
high
it's gonna be like a t-shirt gun. You're like, hey fans, stand up. Here comes Benny the Bull.
It's just gonna be dicks.
Yeah. just-
I'm gonna say right now, this is probably my best one. You're my most well planned one
God, I
yet,
hope it's
and it's not even
Lauren.
that bad. And I unfortunately can't share too many details about it because I'm that excited about it. So,
Very good.
Oh my God.
I think we have to all go to Phil's house and rub his head for good luck.
but
He pulled this off.
one last quick plug, and then we go back to Phil. Henry Evingham. It's January. You know what that means? Month 1 of the 12 months of Colby pranks coming your way, sir. So I would ask how you're feeling, but I don't care. Go back to you, Phil.
Nobody ever does.
Oh, that's just mean, Henry.
But a lot of people have already mentioned this word when talking about Rosa, driven. There is you can see it in I don't see her eyes because she's wearing sunglasses, but just her posture, the tone in her voice, everything she does is driven. Nothing she does seems like it's wasted. I don't see her as the type that has any downtime where she's sitting on the couch or watching Netflix.
Right.
She's always doing something. And she said she only sleeps 3.5, 4 hours a night, which
Yikes.
I know how that goes, and I know Mike definitely knows it. If you got kids, you know what sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night's like.
Work
but
midnights.
yep, that too. But having
No, I mean I get to sleep more because I work midnights.
oh, but I'm so blown away by her passion for everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to say it now. She's going to be back on this show. I guarantee it. And hopefully we can get her in an opportunity where we can sit down and actually watch and maybe critique a match with her. So that's what I look forward to next time she's on here.
I think we should watch Mitch and Pro.
Yeah, I was say, Phil, the reason I just want to echo your sentiment. There's no wasted words. There's no wasted moves. What's the first match she brought up? It's the first match that I'm not putting myself over. I said, watch that Serena Deeb and her from AEW. There's not one wasted move. And what'd she say? She's 5'3". Serena Deeb is 5'7", 8, 9. There's no wasted moves. So in reality, when we talk about blurring the lines between what's a character, who's on screen and who's not, the style in which they wrestle and the promos in which they deliver, there's another line with that with her is that I'm not the cookie cutter wrestler. There are no wasted moves and no wasted words with her. And that's because she's a product of her environment.
So the Vince Russo of the show, Henry Evingham, threw a swerve at us, bro. Didn't ask about the map. You lost Matt and Mike $50.
Map it.
Who won that $50?
Nobody. Because I made the bet and they're like, nope, not taking it.
I earlier, Mike, when I was messaging you real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, Henry. I was so close to challenging you. I was going to challenge you. Like I was like, Mike, if you could get her address to send her some sort of rib, I was going to be your slave, your embarrassment slave, to do embarrassing things every day for a month. And I thought about it, and I thought about it. I'm like, that son of a bitch will hold it off. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
a
keep my
horrible
mouth shut.
idea.
I'm
Don't.
like,
Two
no,
things,
no.
Phil. I already have it because we're just going to send it to a wrestling school. And I'm going to send it with Henry Evingham's return address. That'll be
Yes.
month 2's prank for this year. So this way, when Thunder Rosa shows up at fucking Walgreens and chokes him out, it's going to be great.
God, I can't wait. Henry, you're up. After all that just transpired.
You were talking about a swerve a second ago. I didn't see that coming.
Mm.
I don't know.
Settle your sex
Today,
tape.
thank you, Mike. I found today to be kind of an educational experience. I find when I hang out with you guys, because my in-depth of wrestling knowledge goes literally from about 1985 to about 2005. I don't know much of the newer stuff. I know very little about lucha libre and the Mexican style of wrestling. I know very little about Japan, except where it coalesces with anything in between 1985 and 2005. Hell, women's wrestling actually brought me back to professional wrestling, and that's because the advertising blitz for WrestleMania 35 reminded me a lot of Austin Michaels Tyson from WrestleMania 14. But with things like this, I wasn't sure what my expectations were going in, because I kind of thought she wasn't going to show up at first. If I'm being honest, Phil, we had it all set up. Everything was ready. It was perfect. And then all of a sudden it felt like she wasn't going to show up. And I'll be honest, today was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of new things, and it was a pleasant experience. I look forward to seeing who you can bring us next, Phil, and or TJ, Mike, or Matt.
Just a little teaser. I've got a huge one in the can, guys. Working on it now.
It's George Animal Steel.
Shit.
If we're talking about huge ones in the can, I went number 2 before this started.
And Carl has left us again, so he's probably back in the can.
Yeah. Do you still? He's taking a nap. That's where we know he sleeps now. Do you still have the poo bucket, Mike?
This poo bucket?
Oh, please don't.
Tremendous.
No.
Is that a pickle bucket?
I wasn't gonna leave Thunder Rosa to go poop. Okay, like
He's
in
actually
case
been
I
sitting
had
on
to
the
go.
bucket and not the chair the entire show.
And that is what's getting shipped month 3 to
Oh Lord.
A 3-month-old dump. Congratulations, Henry.
Can you ship human waste to the
Yes.
U.S. Postal Service?
Actually, no. I've looked into this. You can't.
Oh my
But
Lord!
you know,
Of course he
You know
has.
what you can send, Henry? Animal waste. It's a thing.
Why?
Because
Why
he
one
wants
and
it
not
to
the
show
other?
up. What he wants is when he sends that month 3, it's going to be a reverse rib, because I'm just going to return to sender that package once I open it.
Just so everybody knows, so I can give them a plug, poopsenders.com. Check them out for all your pranks needs.
My God.
All right. Well, that's getting plugged on the show.
So we went from a good show to about this now.
That
So
doesn't make this a bad show, Antonio. It just makes it weird.
So earlier this month, we've had Evan Polisher. We've had Efren from Saved by the Pod. We had Rocco DeRose, the model. Did you change? And he's muted. That's the best part. We had Rocco watch Royal Rumble 2000.
When did we have Efren?
Thank you, Carl. And then I'm doing a recap of the month, because remember, this is January 23rd.
Oh, right. No, the Efren was awesome. That was actually my favorite.
Too late, Carl.
Little peek behind the curtain. January 30th, we're having Paulie Bromwell. As we watch Starrcade 1984.
We
Looking
saw
forward
too
to
much
that.
of. We saw too much of Frank during Efren.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
I'm
Efren's
sorry.
Efren's actually over. Wait,
What?
Carl is so
he's
confused
right.
now.
He is right. I see him. Efren, no, get out of my front yard. He lives exactly 3.9 miles away.
I have to ask Carl.
Are you going to flash a school in a minute? Wait, what are you doing?
Me? No.
Thank you, DJ.
I promise my mom did not get the best New Year's Eve. So I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I went. I'm not gonna lie. I won a sizable amount of money on betting Ball State straight up in their bowl game as 2 touchdown underdogs. And I said, "What do you want to do?" She goes, "Can we go to restaurant X, Y, and Z?" Said, "Whatever you want to do. It's up to you. It's your day out on Saturday. I got a show that I'm committed to. That is my therapy, and she knows how cathartic it is for me." Said, "You got to be on pause though. We can go in the evening. So when it ends, I'm down."
What are you doing?
So where do you want to go? I'm throwing on some old Russell Westbrook kicks.
I thought you were.
I'm worried. I am actually worried though, because what are you going to do tomorrow for both your sorrows when the Bears beat the Packers? Oh wait, that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Never mind.
Yeah, Mike.
Keep going.
Quit living in the past. It's like the NFC divisional round by now.
You guys beat us, and I swear to God Almighty, I'm gonna drink bleach.
All right, just so everyone knows, it's January 2nd when we record this.
R.I.P. Carl, January 3rd.
The Bills are going to the Super Bowl.
No, they're not.
They're going to beat the Packers.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, it's Bills Packers Super Bowl.
See, I don't want Bills
right now.
Packers. I want Bills Bucks because I want to kick Tom Brady in the stomach the same way that Buffalo did.
They're not coming up to Lambeau to do anything.
I would agree with you guys, but then we'd all be wrong. So, Matt Levitt, you want to say something?
The Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
Matt, to win the Super Bowl, you first have to go to the Super Bowl, and they're not.
They just won it last year.
Matt, I'm gonna show you a crazy thing that I did the other night, drawing direct parallels, and we'll do it off air, or if you want to do bonus content or whatever you want to call it. There are insane parallels between this year's Chiefs team and the Packers team the year after they won the Super Bowl, and they went 15-1. And what happened to them?
The Chiefs are losing tomorrow because they're sitting all their starters.
Who is?
The Chiefs.
Okay, all right, 14-2. Call what you will. Okay, they had a really good record. All right, call what you will.
I'm sorry.
But I want you to look at something. I want to look you. I'm going to show you something. If I have the ability to share my screen, why the Chiefs won't make it, and I'm firmly set it's Bills Packers.
Go ahead, Matt. Or Matt. Go ahead, Carl. I want to say Carl. If you want to
there's nobody's walking it. Here's why. We just saw exactly what happened. Was Aaron Jones out of bounds, Frank?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But guess how they shoveled that? So the ref goes, I don't know. Looks like snow could be the out of bounds line. I don't know. You're walking into a fun house of hell when you walk into Lambeau, and they're 2 wins away. So give me Seattle so we can bury Russell Wilson for the 3rd year in a row and end that conversation. We can never have that conversation ever again in any narrative, in any text or anything like that. It's done. It's over. That's 3 years in a row. Packers kill them. And then I don't want Tampa Bay. That's the only team I don't want because Brady can play in that. And he scares me because he's a guy that can rise above, and that scares the hell out of me. So if there is a team I'm scared of, yes, it's Tampa Bay. They can run.
He's like 5'6" hot right now.
Carl.
I'm hot.
If you don't beat Seattle, I think we should have a bet on this. If you guys lose to Seattle, you have to get a Seahawks tattoo. If you beat Seattle, Frank will get a Green Bay tattoo.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Whoa,
guess again.
An accent came out of nowhere out of Frank Bruno.
Can I get a I will agree to that if it's a Sierra tattoo.
On your inner thigh.
And Mahomes across your back when they win the Super Bowl.
Profit.
I cannot wait for bonus cut. I'm gonna show you. Oh, I can't wait to share my screen. It's not that I think they are a great team. It's just they're gonna run into somebody. I'm telling you, 2nd round flat-footed. It's going to be exactly what happened to the Packers when they had to face the Giants in Lambeau, and the Giants went on to win it.
if you guys are still watching this, 25 minutes ago we had Thunder Rosa on the show,
I know.
and now we're
I
here.
say we wrap. Let's
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah, let's wrap
do
it.
that. So, for Carl Mandick,
Oh.
Matt Levitt, I almost called you Matt Kolb, Mike Kolb, Antonio Santos, I'm mixing my two favorite people. Slow down. Phil Jackson, Henry Evingham, Frank Bruno. Next week, Paulie Brownwell, Starcade 84, the $1 Million Challenge, right here on Top Guy Theater.